Good morning, beloved, and welcome to the first episode of the Healing Circle. With me today, I have the amazing Brittany, coached by B.Nicole. She's a certified life coach. And today we're going to be discussing what healing looks and feels like to us as two Black women. Brittany, you want to get us started?
Yes. So thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
I'm excited. And to get started, okay, so what healing looks and feel like to me is um to me when I started healing, like it was a lot of crying, a lot of going back and recalling, okay, yeah, that was traumatizing to me, and really thinking about or allowing myself to feel my feelings towards what happened or, whatever the situation was. Like, I'm entitled to feel how I felt, not suppress it. So definitely like a lot of crying. Like it's gonna look like, okay, is she healing or is she falling apart? But to me, to me, that's like that's that's what it looked like to me. And what it feels like is basically like you are kind of kind of like you breaking your own heart, but you putting it back together instead of just throwing the pieces together and gluing and then it be all warped. You actually have to re-break it and then put it together slowly to where it's back to how it's supposed to be.
I feel
So
that.
that's yeah, that's kind of how it feels or felt for me. I'm still going through some stuff and healing, but yeah, that's definitely what it feels like to me. What about with you?
I feel that. And you know what? The intention behind putting the pieces back together, I felt that 100,000%. I mean, I resonate with the crying. Is she
Right?
really healing or is she just falling apart? I resonate with that
Right.
a whole lot because it was, I mean, like you said, it still is. But one of the most beautiful parts of my healing journey thus far, and just like you said, I'm still going through it. This isn't something that's just, you know, like a test. You have, 30 questions, you take it and you're done. You're done healing,
Right.
because every new situation, every new friendship, every new relationship is going to bring a new facet to healing. And it started off with me or that was a weird sentence. It started off with me when I was thinking of how to end my last romantic relationship.
Hmm.
And I was so fixated on why doesn't he do these things? Why doesn't he do these things? And I had to turn to myself and say, you know what? Let me just do the things that I need to do for myself and really just focus on myself because there was a lot of things that I was doing that were trash. Like I was super passive aggressive. I was yeah, that was my that was my biggest thing. I would project all of this discomfort and anger and frustration onto my partner in hopes that some way somehow he would know exactly what I needed because I was
Yeah.
pissed off.
Yeah.
And of course that never worked because that's not how you communicate with people,
Yeah.
right? So I started off with that. I started off practicing releasing that passive aggression and saying, if I don't communicate something to someone, how do I expect them to know what I need or what I want? And it went from there to what other things can I do to be a better partner? Am I a good communicator? Am I a good listener? Am I even present for my partner the way that I feel like I am? Because at the time I felt like, look, I'm a good partner. It's you that needs the work,
Right.
and I could only see all of the things that he did wrong. So looking inward is really, like you mentioned, where that breaking down part happened. Holding myself
Mhm.
accountable for being passive aggressive, holding myself accountable for not being as present, not only, as a partner, but in other parts of my life, and placing a lot of blame on other people.
Mhm.
Um, it was a lot. And like you said, it's still happening. I mean, being, having a newborn now, a 7 week old, that's also presenting more facets to my healing journey. Having um, a 5 year old son, that presents new facets every day, when he asks me why.
Oh my
And
goodness, the golden question.
yeah, the black mom in me is like, what you mean why? You don't
Exactly.
get to
We didn't
ask
get
why.
to ask why. We didn't get to do that.
Exactly, exactly. So a lot of it is unlearning those things, right?
Mhm.
Unlearning feeling. like angry almost when your child asks you why, and you have to really step back and think about it. You know, what do I really have to be upset about right now? Is there
Right.
something genuine that I can be upset about, like something went wrong, something is broken, etc., etc.? And I was just talking to my husband about it the other day about seeing things objectively, right? So the example that I love to give is you're in the grocery store and you're standing in line, and someone in line mentions, "Oh my goodness, we have been here for so long. This line is taking forever. Look, the cashier must be new, yada, yada, yada." And that's them subjectively kind of creating their own reality because
Mm-hmm.
objectively, the only thing that's happening is you're standing in line at the grocery store.
Right.
That's all that's happening. But when we paint these pictures, we end up messing up our own moods and our own emotions because we're, I don't know, like, have you experienced that before?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I can be in the best mood and we'll go to a grocery store and like I'm like, okay, I see this line is long, this
Mm-hmm.
line is shorter. So I'm thinking, get in the short line. Then someone in front of me will be like, I've been in this line forever and they now we got car trouble, car machine trouble, and I just, and then I'm like, oh God, I done picked the wrong line. Like at first I was excited because the line was shorter, and now I'm like my my mood or my opinion or feelings about getting in that line has been altered because of somebody else that's in front of me or behind me, you know, projecting their feelings or whatever. So yeah, absolutely. It's when you are in the when you are in the middle of healing, it's very important to protect your energy
Mm-hmm.
because it's like a open wound and you likely to get, germs in from being around other people. Like it's you definitely have to be careful.
Yeah, and I like that analogy of protecting it like a fresh wound, like a fresh boo boo. Would you treat a fresh boo? Would you throw dirt into a fresh boo boo? No.
No.
But sometimes we do that because we don't realize, that the people closest to us are the people throwing the dirt in our boo boos.
Yeah.
Because we're so comfortable with them. They may be family, they may be friends, and those are the same people who are constantly, man, this line is so long, man, this is
Right.
taking forever, etc.,
Right.
etc. And we don't even realize that they're the ones who are impacting our energy
Right.
every
Cause
single
I walk
day.
in thinking I'm just happy to get out the house, have a little long time. I don't care how long it takes. Then I get in the line and here they go with their little negative energy. And I'm like, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And you're thinking, like, just like you said, you start out here
Hmm.
and all of a sudden somebody says something and it brings you down and you're thinking, wow, why am I so deeply impacted by that? When we're, I would say, in the beginning, or when we really haven't started diving deep into our healing journey, oftentimes we aren't as impacted by it because we have this wall up. We have this
Hmm.
shield. I
Guarded.
mean,
Yeah.
yes, we're very, very guarded. And you and I were just talking about this last night about the superwoman schema when it comes to black women. We are, it's ingrained within us, within our DNA, within every maternal figure that we've seen, that we're supposed to be protected and we're supposed to be guarded and we're only supposed to care for other people. And we kind of are supposed to put ourselves last if we ever even get to ourselves in the first place.
Right.
um and there's just so many layers to this superwoman schema that we don't even realize are impacting us. So how has awareness, like, what role has awareness played for you in your healing journey so far?
Honestly, I guess it has to be something that I can relate to in the past. And like if it was something that I know my parents did, and I'm like, okay, if that situation ever happened, I know I want to react differently. I want to do something differently than what they did because, like with the wife situation. Like, we wasn't able to ask why. Like, what do you mean, why are you asking why? But see, at first I was like, okay, you only get 2 whys. After that, don't ask me no more. But in reality, like, he just literally wants to know the breakdown. He's curious. I have, my 5-year-old as well. He's just curious and he's why? And then I'll give an answer and he'll be like, why? And I'm like, okay, now that's your second why. But it's all about patience. Like when I say I used to pray for patience and then I had my son, and I'm like, okay, this is the biggest test ever. This is the biggest test ever. And every day, I'm not perfect. Every day I get a little bit more because I'm like, okay, I have learned to, if he's not talking to me, or like he's a boy, he's gonna be loud, he's gonna be rough, he's gonna want to jump and run a lot. And I'm like, okay, baby, just like don't do that. And I got to the habit where I'm like, okay, don't run, okay, don't slide in the socks, okay, okay, okay. Like I'm like, the floor is hard, the counter is hard, and now I'm like, oh, he a boy, he gonna be fine. So it's a learning process. It's a struggle, but it's a learning process because as mothers, we're supposed to protect them. We protected them in our bellies or however when they were small, we did for them. And when they hurt themselves as they get older, it's like you feel so helpless. And I don't know how to explain that, or the reason why we feel the way we feel. Like it's our job to raise them and send them on their way. We know they're gonna make mistakes as we did when we were growing up.
Yep.
We fell, we scraped our knee, we bumped our heads, or may broken bones. I didn't break any bones,
Me
thank God.
neither.
But
Look, fingers crossed.
right, fingers crossed. Look, after 30 years, I hope not. Like
Right.
I'm not trying to break no bone now, but yeah. I'm like, okay, can- just let them grow. It's part of the journey for them as well as us. Let
Right.
them grow.
Right. But we feel a sense of comfort in control, right?
Yes.
If I could just get him to never
To sit
run,
down.
never jump off the couch, not run around in socks, like if I could just get him to do these things that
He'll
I
be
know,
okay.
yes,
Yeah.
I know these are going to result in pain,
Right.
I know they are because I did it.
Right.
But I believe that experience is one of the best teachers.
Mm-hmm.
But when we're watching our children experience things and we're like, oh, I know that's going to hurt. Oh, I know that's not going to feel good. Or, oh, I know this isn't going to end well. Even later down the line when it comes to friendships and relationships, and we're telling them, like, your friend Bobby, he a trash person.
Right.
And, your son or your child doesn't want to believe you. They're like, no, mom, Bobby, Bobby's just this. But I like Bobby. Bobby's my friend. And they think that we're just out for Bobby, but in reality, we see the qualities in Bobby that we see in other people.
Right.
But oftentimes, there's really, you can tell someone something as many times as you like, but when they experience it, sometimes even when they experience it, they still don't see it. They still don't see the problem. They still don't see the struggle. Sometimes it has to happen multiple times, but I believe we just have to be open to speaking to our children about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like same thing for, friendships. Like if you were to come to me with a problem or something, I'm like, damn, I've been through that same exact thing. I could tell you exactly what I've been through, and that may help, but a part of you still might be, well, let me see, let me just see, because maybe it's not that bad, but there's a really great benefit in having someone that you can come to and just talk about those things transparently. Talk about how you feel, talk about, the things that you experience, talk about how you felt before, how you felt after, talk about how that made you feel about yourself, just have that open, transparent conversation. And that's something that I really wanted before I started healing, but I had to realize that I was trying to fix everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I was attracting these quote unquote friends who were those, like, what's the word? Constant complainers. They always have something to complain about. And they may have been great people, sweet people. We may have tons of stuff in common. I had this one woman who I was going to the gym with all the time. So that was dope. That was like the pillar of our friendship, was working out together. But she was always having trouble in her marriage and always, having trouble in that relationship. And I was always trying to fix it. And then
Mhm.
I was trying to figure out, how come she doesn't show up for me the way that I show up for her? Well, I never required her to.
Right.
I just showed up for her because I was like, I'm a great person, so I should try and help fix you. But the reality was, I should have made that a requirement of friendship. You know what I mean? It should have been, I'm gonna stop giving her advice, or I'm gonna stop sharing these things with her until I see if she shows up for me. And if she doesn't show up for me, then I need to end the friendship, because that's something that
Right.
I require from a friend.
Exactly.
But the part of me that just wanted to say that I had a friend, was so desperate to just be there
And
for
that's
her.
how I was for a long time. To this day, like I have one friend and we've been friends for over 15 years.
Hmm.
And he still is stuck in his old ways. And I'm like, okay, we are grown now. Can't do the same stuff that we did in eighth, ninth grade.
Right.
Like, that was so long ago. Don't you want to evolve? Like, I want my friends to speak life into me. Like,
Right.
because I speak life into my friends. I need the friend that I am to others. You know what I mean? And it took me a long time to realize, like, you deserve that. So now, like, I'll talk to him, but like you saw him calling me the other when we were on the phone. I was like, I'm not answering because I can only take so much.
Yes.
Like and that's with family as well. Like I don't talk to my dad like that because he will literally tell me he's calling me to get on my nerve or something like that. Like you're not calling to check on your grandson. You're not calling to check on your daughter to see how I've been, like you just want to call to try to get in my business so you can tell everybody else and get on my nerve. Like that's not okay. So he get pictures, he get text messages, but I don't talk to him all the time. Like I can't do it.
Right.
And I deserve to protect myself and my energy. So it took me a long time to realize and I'm still learning how to say no, but like I healed from a lot, like when I say a lot of trauma dealing with my dad to I'm so proud of myself for even be able to answer the phone, like, or even talk to him or text him. I'm like, okay, I really have my big girl panties on today. Like I really be proud of myself because I came a long way, like a long way. And that's part of, my healing journey. Like I used to have nightmares. Um, and I would literally be fighting in my sleep to the point where I swung and I thought I had broke my three fingers because I hit the bed that I was in. It had like a granite top headboard.
Hmm.
So when I swung, I hit the granite headboard and I could not feel or move my fingers. So I couldn't even scream, like, and that's how
Wow.
bad and realistic my dreams were. Like they were literally like lucid. Like I felt somebody holding me. I was like, I gotta get over this. Like I gotta face it. I gotta talk about it. And that's another thing, part of healing what it looks like to me, therapy.
Yep.
Like that's the biggest thing. Like growing up, we was told, oh, we don't do therapy. You better pick your head up and keep on going, or whatever. But for me, therapy. Like I can do the journaling, I can, but me personally, I'm so used to holding things in because of my past and growing up. My parents taught me, what happens in the family stays in the family, that type of thing.
Yep.
It was hard for me to speak. So I would have friends that would ask me, "You okay? Like, are you going it through anything?" Like, and I was like, "No, I'm okay." Still put on the smile and all that, but deep down inside, I'm like, I'm struggling to even just get up and be.
Right.
So therapy is definitely like number one. Like I would suggest that for anyone, even if it's not a real therapist or a licensed therapist, excuse me, a licensed therapist, like a coach or mentor, anything like that, like has helped me so much because talked to a coach first and then I got a therapist. And now I'm just like, yeah, I know what I want out of my friends now. And I know how to speak and use my voice because as well when I was in a relationship with my son's dad. Like my biggest thing was I didn't know how to speak up for myself. So I would let a lot of things slide, or like he was the type that liked gifts and
Mm-hmm.
cared about social media and likes and the attention. Me, I didn't care. All I wanted was physical touch and time. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's all I wanted. And he would buy me things and be like, "Oh, you went out and you didn't buy me anything." Well, I don't ask you to buy me anything. I don't like gifts like that. Like I I'm confused. So I took it as he's the type that likes to give gifts because he never asked for anything, but he had trouble communicating as well because he never told me, hey, I like receiving gifts sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
like I get you this stuff. Then I could have told him, well, I don't like receiving gifts that much. I like time, I like physical touch. Like, let's cuddle up and watch a movie together.
Mm-hmm.
So I've definitely learned how to communicate and use my words. Like I tell my son all the time, use your words, baby. Use your words. So that's that's my healing process.
You touched on
Therapy,
so many
learning how
amazing
to
things.
communicate. Yes.
Yeah.
And crying. A lot of
Yeah.
crying. Reflecting and crying. Yeah.
It's oh, therapy was amazing to me. I was able to find a black female therapist, which was amazing because within our sessions we could just be two black women. You know what I mean? And it was still healing. And just to your point, as far as finding a coach or mentor can be just as powerful because especially if they've gone through healing themselves, and like we
Hmm.
both mentioned, it's a process. It's not something that we ever end, but you can tell by the way that they speak to you, if they're still going through things, if they're projecting things onto you. But having the opportunity to speak to someone who can actively give you tools, not just say pray about it or go ahead and just
Right.
journal and everything will be great, but to do reflecting and to come into awareness and to hold yourself accountable, to ask you questions that make you think about how you feel and how you made others feel. Um,
Hmm.
and I keep bringing up the superwoman schema as well as just all these things that we encountered and are still battling as black people, especially as black women. We as black women, we're given responsibility a lot younger. If we have younger siblings, most of the time we become their caretaker because our
Hmm.
parents kind of force that upon us. And we're still recovering from um, children should be seen, not heard, right?
Right.
So that by itself is a huge hurdle because that shows up as not being able to advocate for ourselves, whether it be like at the doctor's
Right.
office or in relationships or in the classroom or anywhere. And then sometimes when we do start advocating and speaking up for ourselves, we're unsure. We're like, should I say this? Is that right? Do I deserve to speak in this space? So many different things pop up. Um, so again, having a therapist, having a coach or a mentor, having someone to speak to about those kinds of things and ask them questions, how can I overcome this? And a lot of it comes from practice.
Hmm.
For really deep, serious traumas, like I'm a victim of domestic violence. When I connected with my therapist, she took me through EMDR therapy, which was amazing, absolutely amazing. So just having people in your corner who genuinely want you to heal and are going to tell you about yourself.
Right.
And that's why black women are changing the world because we going to tell you about yourself. It's going to be with love. And
Right.
there's gonna be facts and support behind it, but we're gonna tell you about yourself. We're gonna hold you accountable and say, and that's what my first therapist did when I was in my previous relationship. I told her that I was having trouble trusting my ex because I presented something to him. I was actually talking to him about my domestic violence situation, and basically he said, "I don't want to talk about it because that makes you sad." And I felt like I could sort of understand, but it just felt very dismissive. And she said,
Mhm.
okay, did you share with him what you needed at that time? And I'm like, no. And she said, well, you have to make sure that as much as that was hurtful to you, you have to make sure that you're sharing with him, when I share these things with you, here's what I need from you. I'm not looking for advice. I'm not looking for a problem to be solved. I'm just looking for you to hear me and for you to see me in this moment. So, I mean, it was great. It was great. And I felt you know, a little grumpy because we never want to be told we never want to be told that we're doing something wrong, like
Right.
again, I thought
Yeah.
that I was the bee's knees in that relationship. Okay, I was like, I'm the best girlfriend in the world, and he's the
Period.
one with the period, and he's the one that needs to get it together.
Right.
And I was just looking, and that's the thing. Sometimes we're just looking for someone to affirm that, right? Like, yeah, girl, you're right. And sometimes we have those friends, um, who just want to be a part of that. They just want to be a part of, like, tell me all your problems so I can hype you up and tell you that you're right. So you can just be mad at your man forever. So you can be mad at your mom forever or whatever. And we don't need that all the time. We need someone to be like,
Oh,
yo, Donya, that
you
was
was wrong.
you was wrong.
Yeah.
You was
Let me
doing
help
too
you
much.
grow, friend. Like, yeah, that's what I need.
Exactly, exactly. Let me help you grow. Let me illustrate to you that you was on one, and let me share with you what you did. I'm not just gonna say you was on one, girl, and then good luck. I'm gonna
Right.
clearly communicate to you. Here's the things, and that's something that I kind of pride myself on is now I'm a lot better at seeing things from both perspectives. It used to be really, really hard for me to see things from the other person's perspective, which made it difficult to communicate. Because,
Mhm.
like you mentioned about the kind of friends that you kind of want yourself as a friend, you know?
Right.
Um, you want people to show up the way that you show up for them. But if you can't see things from other people's perspectives, it's going to be really difficult to connect with that kind of person and also to receive that kind of person because they may be doing that, but you see it as an attack because you've never been held accountable for your behavior and for your actions before.
Right.
So I'm like, yo, Brittany kind of mean. Like, she over here telling me myself, and I don't appreciate it. But in reality, that's what I need. I need that to happen.
Yeah, I get that all the time from my best friend. I be like, look, I love you, but you do not respect my boundaries at all. And then I have to, sometimes he don't even understand that. And I really have to go back to the old Brittany. I'm like, don't make me do that. Like, I don't like, I don't like doing that.
Yes.
Let me keep the new me present. I don't like bringing up the old me. So I have to speak in his language sometimes. And it's not his fault. It's just how he grew up. And his mom was a kid when she had a kid, basically. So him and his mom didn't grow up as, mother son. It was like basically having an older sibling.
Mm,
And then like when she had more kids, of course, like you were saying, he ended up having to help raise his younger siblings, and he still do to this day. Like it's it's just how he was brought up and the things that he was surrounded by. So I kind of, like you said, I had to learn how to see things from other people's perspectives, but at the same time, I try not to allow myself to get out of character
mm,
because I don't like having to get on somebody else's level, especially when you have to be negative about it
mm-hmm.
or like it feel toxic to me. So yeah, I feel like there's always a way to do and say everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Uh, it's a process. It's a
It
process
is.
and it's a journey. And we all have people in our lives that we love these people, but sometimes I'm like, you've been complaining about that same problem for 3 years now.
Right. Right. When you gonna make a change, friend?
Yes. So when are
'Cause
you
I'm
going
tired
to
of hearing about
change?
it. I'll tell him in a minute. I'm tired of hearing about it. I don't want to hear nothing else about it.
I'm saying. I'm saying. I'm
It
saying
was
right
just
now.
one female. I'm like, we don't talk about her. She's irrelevant. Why are you like all the toxic stuff and then you always complaining, and it got to a moment where he was calling her out her name. I was like, it's not even that serious. Like, just stop talking
Mm-mm.
to her.
Right. Right. Let it go, friend.
Just
Let it
just
go.
let it go.
Nobody
I
is
was like,
forcing you.
you don't even have any kids, no reason to stay connected to her. Let it be. And
Look.
sometimes I get tired of being that. Look, I don't like repeating myself, honestly. That's like one of my biggest pet peeves. I do not like repeating myself, and then I have to humble myself and be like, okay, maybe you have to repeat it, but say it a different way.
Or maybe he just ain't listening.
Yeah, that too. That too.
It's incredible how much people don't realize. Wow. Okay, let me try that again. It's incredible how much freedom people don't realize that they have. Like
Hmm.
when I started figuring out that I was making myself upset by being passive aggressive, I'm like, I don't have to do that. I am in control in this situation because I'm not communicating anything to my partner. So obviously, I can't be upset that he's not doing what I want him to do because I'm not saying anything. I'm just sitting
Right.
here like,
You should know. Like,
right, like just
you should
making
know.
faces and sounds, and he's like not even just completely oblivious. So I had the freedom to change my behavior and my perspective and just again just let it go. Just let it
Hmm.
go. And I also had to really accept that he was showing me who he was. Because there were times where I clearly communicated what I needed, right? There's this huge issue that I have when people, mostly it's a romantic relationship, people live together, and the other partner says, "Oh yeah, I can help you with the housework." Nah, look, I almost said something else, but we live here. These are responsibilities that we share because we live here. You know what I mean?
Right.
It doesn't matter how many days you spend in the house versus how many days I spend in the house. We live here. So
Right.
again, we share these responsibilities.
It's our space,
Right.
our responsibility.
But if that person doesn't do that because that's not the way they were raised, that's not the way they brought up, and me clearly communicating, because that I did clearly communicate about. If I clearly communicate, hey, I need you to do the laundry, whatever, or at least just make sure, the stuff's coming out the dryer, whatever, on time or whatever, and they don't do that, they're showing me who they are. There's no
Hmm.
amount of times that I can ask this person to do that and then all of a sudden they're going to change their behavior. It should have only taken once to say, this
Right.
is what I need from you. These are my expectations in this relationship slash, household partnership. Because again, we both live here. When you find yourself being the only one who does all the chores, cleans up the yard, takes care of the animals, make sure the bills are paid, whatever it is, that person is showing you who they are. And I believe that we really have to get more comfortable just letting people go, like literally just cutting people off. And that's a
Hmm.
huge part of healing because we feel like, oh, I've invested so much in this relationship, this friendship, oh, that's my mom, that's my dad, whatever, that's my sister. I can't just cut them off. Yes, yes, the hell you can. You
Yes, you can.
absolutely can because what are they contributing to the relationship besides making you more stressed, besides adding more to your plate, besides making you second guess yourself in your decisions,
And
besides,
making you feel man.
yes, making you feel less than, exactly. Or you know how black people are with these compliments where they
Yeah.
like they insult you but it's supposed to be a compliment. Damn girl, you
Okay.
getting thick. What
Mm,
what what
Excuse.
what
I
what
just I just had a moment like that. I
right.
was like, here's your coffee. But with this coffee comes moment of truth, okay? Feelings.
Right.
Okay. Here it is. Uh,
Don't be
you
talking to me
shouldn't have
like
said it
that.
that way. Instead, say it this way.
Right. Or this obsession over, I mean, black people have a lot of obsessions. We are obsessed with uh, our hair, the way people look, the way people dress. Like, I
Hmm.
cannot count the number of times that my mom and I have been in a grocery store and we see some random person and mom's like, she knows she shouldn't be wearing that. I'm like, Mom,
Right.
who cares? Is that all of a sudden like, lowering your credit score? Like, who cares? Who cares? This is not impacting you at all. It's some random person. Like, you know what I mean? That person didn't come and like rub their butt crack on you or something. Like, no impact
Right.
whatsoever. But we just have to say stuff. And then we wonder why these young black kids speak the same way. They over
Right.
here insulting people, insulting other children, insulting adults. Why? Because that's the language that their parents speak. And they do not
Yep.
see that they need to stop. Like, you could think it all you want, but don't say it out loud. Please don't say it
Right.
out loud.
I have to correct my son all the time, and I'm like, where do you even get this from? Because if I have anything to say about anybody, I'll say it in my head first, and then I'll wait. If I just have to blurt it out, I'll wait until he's gone, got headphones in or something like that. I'm like, I gotta get it off my chest. Guess what I saw today?
Right.
But I
Oh.
need to get out the habit of doing that as well. But I'm like, okay, don't say it that way. Just say they look different.
Hmm.
Okay. Just gonna
Exactly.
say they look different.
Exactly. Because we as a society are already super fixated on looks anyway. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Whether we see people in wheelchairs, whether we see people that are large. I mean, you can't be anything. You can't be too big. You can't be too small. You can't be too buff. You can't be too not buff. I don't know. You can't be nothing. You
Right.
can't just be yourself. Everybody always has something. Somebody has something to say about it.
Somebody
So
has something.
exactly, exactly. So it's a lot, but a lot of the things that we've been discussing are kind of more common for Black people. I know a lot of stuff is also just common for women in general. A lot of stuff is just common for people who live in America. Um, but there's a lot of things culturally that have played a role. I mean, just therapy alone. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? There's so many Black people who are so stuck on. I'm gonna just pray. I'm gonna just pray about it. I'm gonna just give it to God. Just give it to God. And I'm not extremely well versed in the Bible, but I'm pretty sure there's something in there that says prayer without works is dead or something like that, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, you
I'm
can't
to that
just
effect.
pray. Yeah.
Right.
So where the
You gotta
works
put in
at?
work too. Right.
Where the work at?
Just say, I'm pray about it and give it to God and don't do nothing.
Don't change nothing, like nothing.
And what's the
Nothing.
definition of insanity when you do the same thing over and over and expect a different result? Okay. Like
That part
you
right there.
insane.
That part right
You
there.
insane for thinking just pray or works, okay?
And plus, there's nothing that says you can't pray and go to therapy. Why can't you do
Right.
both?
You can. You
Right.
absolutely can. And that's
Right.
doing the work. That's
Exactly.
part of the work.
But it goes back to what happens in the family stays in the family. Because now all of a sudden you're sharing the things that have happened
Mhm.
within the family, obviously, because there's things that have impacted you.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, but I got to talk about this with somebody.
But see how I justified that in my brain? I'm paying this person to hold all my secrets,
Hmm.
family secrets, whatever the secrets may be.
It's true.
So that's how I justify it in my head. And it shouldn't take all that.
Yeah.
Like we are entitled to feel or to go through or express ourselves without feeling guilt for expressing ourselves.
Exactly.
Like part of healing. Let me heal
Hmm.
because you don't want to heal from trauma that happened in the family or whatever. You
Hmm.
want to hold on to your trauma. That's you. Let me heal.
Yeah, I want to let go for the sake of me, for the sake of my children, for the sake of other people that I meet, for the sake of other people that I mentor.
Right.
It's important for me to heal, to let this stuff go, because I don't want to hold on to it anymore.
Exactly. And
You
that's
know?
exactly why I took a break from creating and trying to pull in clients because I was like, I still got some baggage I need to cut loose. Like I still have some trauma that I need to deal with. So I was like, I'm gonna get a therapist, I'm gonna work on me, and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna help. And I'm so glad I did that because it literally felt like clouds was just coming in on me. Like you trying to do all this stuff, you trying to get clients, you trying to post every day, and in the back of your head you have something telling you like you can't do it, or you have a fear of failing because of
Right.
what you've been told growing up. You got to get rid of all that.
Hmm.
Like we got to get rid of all that they and what you was told when you was growing up, like to move forward.
Right.
So I'm definitely glad that I did therapy first.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Therapy, I can't stress enough how much therapy. And if y'all are interested, I found my therapist through betterhelp.com.
Me
They see,
too.
look, it works. I had an
Yeah.
amazing two black female therapists. One was when I did therapy with my partner for like a month. The second time was on my own. Both times I found black female therapists, and it was super straightforward. I mean, it's a great way to, you can be specific. You can say whether or not you want your therapist to be religious, like, you know what I mean.
Hmm.
Like, you can include all of that. And again, just like Brittany said, I love that perspective of, I'm paying this person to keep my family secrets, because it's just this one person that you're speaking to. I mean,
Right.
there are people who, which I don't um, blame them at all. There are people who share this kind of stuff on social media, which again,
Right.
it's not like if I say my uncle, who's gonna know which uncle I'm talking about? You know what I mean? I'm just sharing what I've experienced. That doesn't mean that all of a sudden someone's gonna come attack my family like, which uncle was it that did? No.
Yeah, you shouldn't have put that on Facebook. You know
Right.
better than that. Oh my goodness. Look, let me heal. If that's how I decide to do it, like people do different things. Me personally, I don't take the social media like that for any of my
Right.
personal life at all. I don't like it. So if you want to be in my personal life, you got to be in my personal life.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, you won't know nothing unless I post it out there.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. But yeah, therapy, amazing. Highly recommend. 10 out of 10. Adulting, do not recommend. I'm just playing. Do not recommend adulting. Um, we do have to grow up. You have to,
Yeah.
and healing, I believe, should be a part of everyone growing up. It should really be a part of our life experience. We should talk about the things that we've experienced. We should hold ourselves accountable for being better, not just athletically or academically, but internally too. We
Mm.
really should hold
Yes.
ourselves accountable. You know what I mean? To do better and to feel better every day. To move out of depression, to conquer anxiety. You know what I mean? To conquer fears. That should be
Mhm.
another part of our growth. I told one of our Discord friends that whenever she uh, not find somebody, whenever she says something to someone, like, usually when we see someone that we haven't seen in a while, we say, hey, how you doing? How's your family, job, children, whatever. We rarely ever ask the person about themselves. So I encouraged her to ask people, if they're happy.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. Sometimes I'll ask about the person first that I'm talking to instead of asking, or I'll forget to ask about their kids or,
Okay.
their spouse or partner. I'm like, I'm worried about you. I care about your kids too, and, your family and all that. But
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, oh, I forgot to ask about the baby. How's the baby?
But it's okay. You know what I mean? Like, I feel that it's more important to ask about the person, you
Yes,
know?
because after I had my son, it was like everybody asked, "Where's the baby?" I'm like, "Hey, I'm here.
You better preach.
Me,
You better
hi.
preach. Look,
How you think the baby got here?
this gonna be a whole
Me."
nother episode because I can't take it anymore. It's so frustrating. Don't
It's so
nobody ask.
frustrating.
Oh, and sometimes they'll slide it in there. How y'all doing? Let
Mhm.
me get a picture of the baby. I'm like, first of all, he's just a little tiny human right now. He don't look like nothing. He look like a little alien. Okay, he a cute alien, but he a little
No,
alien. Leave him alone, baby. When he was a week old, he looked like an alien. I feel like all babies look like little old people
they
when
do
they
when they
first
first
born.
come here.
Face
They
all
do.
scrunched up and stuff. Like, they just, you know. But why do black people want to see the picture? Because they want to talk about who the baby looks like. That's
Mhm.
all they want to do. He look just
Mhm.
like. Don't nobody care.
Mhm.
Don't nobody care.
Right.
He gonna grow up and look different anyway. But
Period.
anyways, we gonna have a whole nother episode on asking people about themselves, especially mothers, especially
Right.
black mothers, because y'all be leaving us in the dust, and I don't appreciate. I don't appreciate
Right.
it.
At all.
I
Just
don't
rude.
appreciate. It's so rude.
It's rude.
It is
My
so
son say
rude.
that all the time. That was so rude of her.
Oh my goodness. Okay, look. Before we get too ahead of ourselves, let's wrap this up. This has been our first episode of the Healing Circle
Yeah.
with Miss Brittany of Coach by B.Nicole, a certified life coach, and myself, Donia Light. I'm a life coach for Black women. Tell us a little bit about your life coaching real quick, B, before we head out.
Okay. So I too am a life coach for Black women. I focus more on breaking generational habits and curses so we can move forward and be better not just better mothers, but better women in general. So that's what I my coaching business is wrapped around.
Beautiful. Now, are you accepting new clients right now?
Yes, absolutely.
For sure. How do we contact you?
You can reach me or you can schedule your appointment or consultation online at coachbybnicole.com.
Perfect. And that's on your Instagram page too, right?
Yes.
Okay. So y'all see her handle right above her head, Coach by B.Nicole. She has a link in her bio. Y'all can click that. Visit her website, schedule your consultation call. She'll discuss with you, find out if y'all are a good fit to work together, and then move forward.
Yep.
As for myself, I am also, like I mentioned, a coach for Black women. My focus is honestly healing so that we can become more selfish, as terrible as that sounds. Because I believe more Black women need to reverse that angry Black woman trope and the superwoman schema, and we just need to focus on ourselves. So that's what my coaching focuses on. I'm in the middle of revamping my coaching, so I'll be accepting new clients soon. But if you have any questions or inquiries, same thing. My Instagram handle is right above me. You can send me an email. Um, I believe there's also a link to add yourself to my email list. But yeah, and me and B will be collaborating a lot more now, so y'all gonna see her.
Yes.
We gonna talk about y'all not checking on us moms,
Right. We come back for
right,
another discussion.
right. But it's been a beautiful conversation, B. I so deeply appreciate you being here with me. Thank you so
Yes,
so much.
absolutely. It was so much fun being here. I was nervous at first, but I'm in here now. I'm stuck.
Yes. All right, my love. I will speak to you soon. We're gonna head on out, and y'all have a wonderful day. Please leave some comments below. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, again,
Like,
yes,
subscribe,
like, comment,
share.
subscribe, share it. Damn it, share it. All these are free ways to support the channel. We both appreciate you so so much. And again, if you want to get in contact with Brittany, Coach by B.Nicole on Instagram, you can visit her website. Me as well. You can visit my Instagram. I finally got it together. Instagram would not load on my phone for like 2 weeks. It was ridiculous. Anywho, loves, y'all have a beautiful day, and we'll speak to you soon.
Bye.